look, you're not an emerging franchise brand by any means. The company's been around for 52 years. We have so much to talk about because of the experience that you've had in the company, going from a founder-led brand for so long and now part of PE. And it's like you're emerging all over again, I guess, right?
Absolutely. It's a great way to put it. Perfect foundation.
Sweet.
No doubt.
So Healey, why don't we give some background story to Port of Subs for those that are not familiar with the brand that started, back in, is it 1972?
Indeed.
Okay. Well, why don't you share with the audience a little bit about the history of Port of Subs?
That's great. For the record, I was not the founder. I'm not quite that long of tooth yet. But so Port of Subs, amazing brand, best sandwiches on the planet. I know I'm biased, but it's because it's true. And it was founder-led by John Larson and his family. And they built the first 10 units as corporate units, and people started saying, hey, tell us about this franchising thing. So in 1986, the family decided to franchise and went through a lot of things that I suspect people who are in their own emerging brand mode have experienced, lots of ups and downs, but obviously it had a great story. And 1986 began franchising. I was introduced to the brand through actually a political affiliation. And fun fact, I was the 100th franchisee for the 100th unit.
No way.
Yeah, very cool. Back in 1997. So I've been around the brand a long time. I come by it honestly. And that was really fun because as we speak about for emerging brands, what is that to get to that 100th unit? What is that magic? How do we do that? And so to be the 100th franchisee and then be in the role that I am now is an honor. So it was a very exciting time and exciting time for me now. So I ended up with a second Port of Subs, so I loved being a franchisee. I absolutely fell in love with franchising. I love everything about it, and it's such a unique relationship and great to be part of that franchise environment. Last year, the family said, okay, we've done this long enough, 52 years, it's time to retire, do something different, sit on a beach, whatever, and we were acquired by the founders of Remax, Dave and Gail Linegar, and their partners in Area 15, and certainly franchising experts. And Area 15 is a PE firm, but it's really a family office. And so it's been a lot of fun to be around franchising icons. They have 9,000 franchises in 110 countries with 150,000 agents. So they're masters of franchising, but they've never been involved in the food service. And so when all of this came about, they said, we'd love for you to be our brand president, obviously an honor. And I was excited because they could share all of their franchising expertise and I could share all of the food service expertise and being a franchisee and franchisor. So it was a really great marriage and really exciting times for the brand. And let me add one more thing. Being a family business, we had huge tenure in our employees, 5 years, 18 years, 25 years, 13 years, and so on. And so when the acquisition happened, they said to me, do we need everybody? I said, we need everybody. We have an amazing team, an amazing foundation. And so through the acquisition, we kept all employees of Port of Subs.
Wow.
So,
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it was wonderful. So, but that also led to a lot of fear and a lot of, we've been here a long time, and is the brand going to change? And is our food going to change? And what about new leadership and all of this type of conversation? And to be able to lead that culture change and that culture shift was really quite something to be able to do. And here we are. Surprisingly, time goes so quickly, 18 months later, and we have a completely different company with a regional developer model as our growth model for high growth instead of a regional brand with single unit growth and focusing on national. And of course, Dave Linegar can't help himself. Global expansion is always top of mind for him. I said, let's start with the country first. That would be awesome. And so it's exciting. And I was thinking about, what would you say to somebody who's an emerging brand? And I can share some of the things that happened along the way and mistakes that I personally made that, certainly, I can share that list because I've done a lot of those, and that's how we learn. That's how we gain experience. That's how we build confidence to move forward. Right. But also as a regional brand going to a national growth, there are some of the same elements Not all the same, but there are some of those same elements that I believe the emerging brands are going to be experiencing when you have growth pains of any kind.
Yeah, for sure. So Healey, tell me about how did you get from being the 100th franchisee to working then in the corporate office there to becoming president? Like there was something in between there, right?
There was. I actually, being a 2-unit franchisee, so not big multi-unit, but it was still a wonderful experience. And I loved being a franchisee, as I mentioned. It's just a wonderful support to have when you're growing your own business. And especially when you're first starting, I was in my mid-20s. So it was great to have the support of a franchise. And I left for quite some time to develop real estate. That's my background, is commercial real estate. So I was doing my own thing for a while. And then 08 and 09, that was kind of an interesting time for many. And
sure was.
Yes, it was very interesting and dynamic. And our founder, John Larson, called me and said, hey, I know you're doing this real estate, but would you come over to the brand and set up our real estate and construction department and help with the growth of the company? And I said, sure, that would be amazing. I have an absolute love of the brand. I always have. And so it was very cool to come back to the corporate office. And then when I got there, after having my own business for so long, I really couldn't help myself. I said, great, we have to do this to grow and do that and do this. And he said, okay, why don't we just have you be the EVP and we'll grow this brand together along with the family. So it was very cool. And that was about 12 years ago.
Wow. And there's 230 locations that are open now, right?
We have 130 locations open. And as I alluded to earlier, we shifted from a single unit growth to the regional developer model. And so we now have 24 regions sold with 10 of our first regional developers and 230 units under development that are under contract for the next 5 years. So that was what you were channeling perhaps for the 230. So 230 units under contract, 4 new states that we've added to the mix, and our 10 first regional developers in a period of about 12 months. So we're very excited for the momentum we're having, and the whole team as this amazing foundation. Everybody's really excited and anxious for the future. And, there's a little bit of fear. I said,
of course,
we're doing exactly what we've been doing. We're just doing more of it. And everybody thought for a moment and said, okay, you're right. We can do this.
Not to mention, Healey, you do have some street cred with the franchisees being former franchisee yourself. I mean, come on now.
It's true. It's true. But truly, and I sincerely mean this, the success we're having, the success of the brand, the success of having 10 regional developers who are excited is because of our existing franchise network. We have an amazing franchise network, and they're the foundation. And we've got really wild statistics. 15% of our brand has been in our brand 20 years or more. Almost 40% has been in our brand 15 years or more. So we have great tenure, great best practices, and the success really is because of the strength of our foundation. And our food's amazing.
And the food's amazing. Okay.
And our food's amazing. And we have a 2-foot brownie. Like what? Okay, let's do this. What?
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.